Hi, everyone. My name is Lynne McIntee, and I'd like to welcome you to Youth Connections Café. I'd like to do a shout out to Youth for Change for allowing us to be here on this platform where we engage, we connect, we create, and inspire our youth. I'm very excited. We have amazing guests. But before we move on to our guest speaker, we were actually going to have a second guest speaker, and they may join us in the meeting. And if not, we will certainly invite them back another time for a part two of this conversation. We're looking at how to engage youth in politics. Again, my name is Lynne McIntee. I'm your host for Youth Connections Cafe. And Youth for Change is all about, as we said, connecting, creating, and inspiring. But please do follow us on social media. We'd love to hear from you. If you have an idea for programming, we would love to hear from you. Perhaps you may want to volunteer or just give us a follow. We'd really be encouraged to hear from you and know that you like some of our programming. Thank you so much. We're going to get started. So, engaging youth in politics is our topic today, and we have a variety of guest speakers. My first guest speaker is Javon Samuel. He is the CEO and founder of Toronto Foundation for Youth Involvement in Politics, and the acronym being TFYIP. Welcome to this platform.
Thank you so much, Lynn, for this opportunity and being able to participate in this. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you very much. And we were just talking off camera and off recording, actually, that Javon's colleague actually may join us, and his name is Viktor Elias, and he is the co-founder. What I found exciting about that was how much Javon wanted to include him. And I always find that very fascinating when colleagues align with each other in their
Mm.
vision. So we're going to get started on some questions, and we'll just free flow with our conversation. So thank
Yeah.
you so much for joining us. Thank you for listening and tuning in. And again, once again, do share with your friends and family. We'd love to hear from you. All right. So a little bit of introduction from you, and what is your role? As mentioned, the CEO and founder. Could you elaborate a little bit more?
Yeah. In the CEO and founder role, and also board chair, I'm basically the one who does most of the strategic sort of planning for the organization, obviously in collaboration with others on our executive team, because we operate our organization in a sort of youth-led, young leaders sort of informed way, where we have a very young executive team, and majority of them are under the age of 30, and they all bring different ideas, different skills and strengths, and things that all can be valuable to the organization's ability to deliver on its mission and mandate. But yeah, I see my job as a steward for the organization, really making sure that we have what we need. We have our priorities set straight. We try to also make sure that our priorities are aligned with our what our youth membership base is looking at, and even what the broader youth population is looking at, looking for in an organization like ours, and putting all of that together to make a strong strategic set of goals, and also a overall year plan. um, and yeah, I see myself as a steward to the organization, and really being the one who helps my colleagues, get what they need to help make our mission executable. So um, that's, I think, my role, and I think the founder part is just, just so you know, the the I don't see it as a title. I see it more as sort of like acknowledging the people who wanted to make the sacrifice of starting the organization, and that's why I include that, and so does Victor in his title as well, because it's a lot of work to start something from scratch, especially when we were only in our early 20s, I think, at the time. So now I'm in my like late 20s now, but we being very young, I think at 22, and I think Victor was 20, I think, at the time, or 19 or 20, he was a bit younger, but We had to figure out um, how to become a charity. We had to figure out how all of those steps, how to, the steps to get there, and also how to make ourselves set up to actually operate. So,
Mhm.
um, and yeah, that's really yeah, it's a big sacrifice that you make when you start something of this nature, because it's a lot of work, of course, for them two people to do.
Mhm.
But then, of course, we grew as we moved through the years. We added more people, and more people saw us on different platforms, and they said, we really like your mission, and we want to see how we can volunteer and help in some way. And we're 100% volunteer, um, and that shows really our all of our passion of for the mission and the program. So, and then I guess lastly, the we do have a board of directors, and I do sit. Victor and I both sit as chair and vice chair, but we often change, like we often switch seats very often. So, and sometimes, and we always switch because it's like we don't want one person feeling like, okay, I have to be in this role forever. Like, can I change or can I do
Mm.
something else? So we try to reverse ourselves, and he and I kind of call ourselves like co-CEO. We're kind of like both the CEO. We run it together. Um, and because he was there when we were writing the brainstorming notes on, we always say we started basically from an idea on a sticky note,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
and then we took it from there, um and yeah, and then now look at it today with such a great group of youth, constantly joining us and wanting to participate in our new proposed set of programming that we're looking at launching in early 2026. I think a youth council program is something we're looking at, and also a political education, political rather, excuse me, political engagement education institute called the Campaign College, which is going to have sort of like virtual and hybrid workshops where we train youth how to engage in different types of different ways politically, whether it's campaigning, running for office if they're, of course, of 18 or older, um, and helping out in organizations like ours, being on riding associations, on neighborhood associations, trying to really be in anything that can give them some experience in being involved in their community and city. Um, so yeah, that's I would say my role are really those things. But the board chair one is really yeah, I think even going beyond just the CEO role, where we're actually as a board together coming up with plans and drafts, and we're trying to make sure that we have a budget that can allow us to have the money we need to run the program,
Mhm.
and really support ourselves and sustain ourselves as an organization. So yeah, I would say that would be my the best response to that sort of question.
Amazing. We may double back on other things that you
Mm,
touched on there so as well. So thank you very much for that intro and
of
sort of
course.
what your role and where it leads you. Again, we're talking about youth involvement in politics and how do we engage youth in politics. I guess then I'll ask you is why is it important to foster effective ways for getting youth engaged in politics? And part two of that is the term youth itself a political term? So I'll start with the first one. Why is it important to foster the effective ways for youth?
Because yeah, thank you so much for that question. And we get that question a lot, and it's I think the word effective was really important to put in our kind of our mission originally, because we feel that when we look at other youth organizations that were already in our space, they all kind of have the same program offerings, or they just kind of like have the same thing, but they one will just switch it up and maybe have something a little different than the others. But we wanted to be an organization where we actually have programs that are 100% proven to get youth engaged, and we felt the best way to do that was through our programs. And we feel the best ways for youth will only engage if they have something that they can talk about that they feel is relevant to them. Because I feel like politics in general is not often something that people under 18 are always interested in. So some they do take, of course, like their civics classes in school and stuff, and where they try to get a bit of political um, kind of understanding in some way, but a lot of them just don't really care because they don't know like how does this like why do I need to know who the PM is or my MPP? I don't even know them. I don't even know what they do for me and my community. So we felt that by them, so through our youth talk forums program, we felt that that was a way where youth can actually come in and actually talk about what matters to them most, what's more of interest to them, like public transit and unemployment. Youth unemployment, I think, is the biggest issue we always get requests for. Youth struggle with finding even like the entry level jobs now. So we tend to have a lot of conversations on that as well. Um, and also through our youth council, we felt that we want to have a fun component where the youth get to be a part of a mock city council where they actually get to be in the seat of they get to be in the shoes for 4 months as a city councilor, and they can kind of shadow them and learn about what they do. And
Cool.
um, yeah, I love the and no city and nobody. I don't think we have a city council program in Toronto that I know of. I know we have the youth cabinet, but they kind of they kind of see themselves as more as like advising city council, not so much as their own kind of like, oh, like we want to have like a program where youth can actually jump into the shoes of a political leader and actually learn how Toronto City Council operates and how the meetings run and the committees um, and yeah, so we felt that would be so much fun having them shadow and be at Toronto City Hall and learn what happens in the building and why this building is so important for empowering democratic voices through our elected leaders speaking on behalf of their constituents, and then also um, people having deputations like people coming to the meetings and deputing and speaking their mind about what's being discussed in the meetings and issues facing Toronto as a whole as a city. Um, and whenever I see young people deputing, I'm always very like impressed of how well spoken they are and how a lot of these people were in our programs and they went and took what they learned from us to do the deputations and in front of people like the mayor and the councilors, which can be kind of scary, especially when you're in front of all these people and men and women who technically have the power to change your life and your day-to-day life and really how society operates. So being in front of these people with power and um, so it's really amazing. And so I feel like youth, they want to be in something that can give them sort of happiness and enjoyment and that they feel is something valuable to them, like education and knowledge through the shadowing and those kind of things. And then I think our last program, which we find is really the key to making it effective for youth political engagement, is the campaign college. And our campaign college is an institute that's going to focus on training youth on like if I want to get like they might show up and say, oh, I'm 19, I want to run for office, I want to be a political candidate for school trustee or a city councilor. So we sort of train them on how the city clerk's office, we might even have like maybe the elections office maybe be a guest on our like in a session and they can like talk about how you run for office um And we had people running, I think even the last municipal election, people as young as like 21, 22
Mhm.
running for councillor. So wow. And even mayor, because mayor is like I think $200 to file your papers. So, and I saw like youth running for mayor. Like I was really impressed, like by these young people is willing to make the sacrifice. And that's what I feel advocacy work is. It's important work, but it's a sacrifice because you're going to be taking a lot out of you to make it a success, to make it effective for the population group you're trying to support and advocate for. Um, so yeah, I think teaching them like in a youth-friendly way, like how to engage, is really important because then they know what options they have and that are available, and then a lot of them will just kind of attend each session and kind of see which one kind of fits their interest, and then they go on and get engaged in different ways. So
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
yeah,
That's cool. When you're speaking, I hear your passion and your knowledge. So I thank you for sharing that. We thank you for sharing that. It's wonderful to hear your firsthand perspective on that. Um,
yeah, my pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you. So some of the areas of involvement, I'm just touch on them very briefly myself, but perhaps maybe you might want to speak to them for our audience. It's just they're unsure, like, okay, what are some areas I can get interested in? You've mentioned a few. Would research be a possible one? You mentioned the council, running an office, election process, and campaigning. Would those be areas that our youth could explore?
Oh, absolutely. No, it's good that you touched upon the research because we actually started building a research think tank within our organization, um, where we have usually young, like first year, second year, like they're usually like political science major students, and they're all in their early 20s, and they're doing policy impact research with us, and they're doing so they're looking at how different policies impact youth in our city. And we also have a very unique area called youth political engagement barrier research, and it's very unique because we actually look at the social barriers that make youth
Mhm.
unable to engage. So it's a very, I think it's the only organization that has something of, because everyone does how does it impact youth, and we all
Mhm.
kind of have that in our organizations, but it's like, but like, what is the barrier to what's the barrier to youth not wanting to engage? And we develop reports, and we try to connect with certain stakeholders to help kind of give them the answers, because a lot of the youth ministries wonder why youth don't really care about politics, and
Mhm.
we always have, so then through our reports we publish, we're able to like help them answer that question. And we really want to help government. We want them to
Yeah.
really make decisions from the youth, what they're telling us, and they can really say like, this is 100% youth. Javon and Viktor and Aline and everybody brought them together, and now they're all engaged and willing to engage. um, so yeah, we are doing a research, and research I think is really important for youth to get engaged in, because they can learn more about some problems that maybe they're not facing personally, but maybe that I guess other youth in the broad community are experiencing. So it's a really good learning experience to be doing the research program, and we're working on just finding great, exceptional people to join that team and um, help us do the projects and those things. Um, and yeah, we had a lot. We're doing a lot of hiring activities, really just finding good volunteers who can help us with our research projects that we hope we can start as soon as next month in November. But by 2026, we hope that it's fully operational by then. Um, and yeah, but I think you touched. I think what was the? I was wondering what the other two.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. Thank you. So running for office, election process, and campaigning. I wondered actually, while we're on the subject here of barriers, I wondered if you could speak to maybe perhaps some of the touch points of overcoming barriers. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think a lot of youth, when we hear what sort of barriers, we're so surprised. Like, wow, like I didn't know that was something that was a barrier. Like, a lot of people say that they wish that in their civics classes, maybe as a part of the curriculum, they could hear more about how to engage outside of school, like in political activities. And like I feel like if schools had a better, more emphasis on how youth can engage in general in their life, it can really help them because there's so many organizations in our space and who are desperate. Like we are desperate to take in new youth members and see what they can do within our organization. And so we are really much open to having youth come in and participate where they can. Um, and yeah, so um, but yeah, I think the research component is definitely our biggest focus. Really getting youth in depth, kind of engulfed with the
Mm,
issues that are sort of youth are in the community in a broad sense are experiencing. Um, but yeah, we want to help with maybe even because in our youth council we do mock elections, so we will be doing that soon in the new year, and where youth can learn like how does an election run? How do you set up an election? How do we get the polling station set up? And like how do we um, how do we get everything in place and to be able to make democracy happen through voting and your votes, everyone's vote counts. We always tell youth, we had a lot of by-elections in Toronto and we tell youth, please vote. Like if you're if you're at the legal age to vote, I always say please vote. It helps the candidate that you're supporting, and also it gets your it's like you had a say in getting that person
mm,
elected and who apparently have alignment with in terms of values and ideology and beliefs. So yeah, I think for us, we're probably going to do more research and doing our political, or rather election campaigns, really running mock elections for our youth council to allow youth in different ridings in our city to elect a youth counselor
yeah,
who
yeah.
can kind of be like their voice in this mock sort of council. So that's really I would say what we're doing, and but overcoming the barriers, I think, for what you'd say is um, number one. I think they have to really know what the barriers are that they're facing, and then what we usually tell them is number one, really really try to keep your passion and your hopes up and always be perseverant and continue to keep trying. If you need the support, we at the TFYP would be happy to see how we can help through our research work um, we always tell youth, the best way is to do sort of like a brainstorming map where you can kind of figure out, okay, like I'm having financial barriers. I can't get into. I'm unemployed, for example, and that's why I can't be engaged in politics because I don't have the money to load my Presto card to get to the campaign events, or and that's kind of how youth unemployment intersects almost with political engagement barrier as a barrier. Public transit, lack of accessible transit. I guess a lot of people live in very remote areas and they don't have where like a car is a must in those places in the rural areas.
Mhm.
Um, and that can be a barrier for them because sometimes they have to walk down a farm road to get to to the nearest, I guess nearest city, and which I found is very interesting in 2025, how people are still experiencing transportation insecurity, which is very interesting. And I think also people struggle with not there's a gap amongst youth in Wi-Fi access. I think a lot of places like the TTC got rid of the Wi-Fi in the subway stations, and that became a barrier because when the youth are on the transit heading to the events, it's good to have like that ability to have connectivity.
Yeah.
um and they lost that, and now a lot of youth have to run to their nearest Tim Hortons,
Yeah.
or like, and there's not always a Tim Hortons around, and it's really, they have to figure out where to go to maybe keep in touch with their members, or and this can be a delay in communication, and planning can get messed up because they're not able to get hold of one another. um and yeah, there's a lot of tech, I think, like technological barriers as well, and also education barriers. A lot of youth just don't, there's education barriers. A lot of youth just don't see the importance of civics and politics right at that moment when they're taking the education, because
Mhm.
they don't see how it's valuable to them, and then that becomes a barrier because they don't see this as relevant to them, and they don't want to engage or be involved any further.
Mhm.
um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and yeah, but overcoming them is really, we always tell them, there's hope because we're doing this research on all of yours behalf, and that you're also involved in as well, and we're taking it to the people who make the decisions and can change your life
Mhm.
through policy. So
Yeah. Yeah, for
so
sure.
yeah, um,
And yeah.
so we always say perseverance is number one. Never give up. Always keep learning. Education, I think, is the biggest way you can overcome barriers, is learning kind of what causes the barrier. And then when you know the cause, it's always like, okay, now I can start the resolution part and find a way out. But we're always there with the youth because we don't expect a 14-year-old to have it all together, or figure out how
Mhm.
things work.
Thank you
So
for mentioning that
yeah,
we don't have to have it all together. That's
yeah,
really key, and for any youth that's listening and tuning in, I would like to underscore that. That's the
mhm,
process of discovery, right?
yeah.
Mm.
And the youth love how all of us in the membership base, that we all struggle with something, like during COVID when we had a lot of mental health challenges amongst the youth population, and a lot of uh, a lot of people passing away from suicide, and
Mhm.
suicide is, I think, a big problem. Mental health challenges is something very big amongst youth post COVID. um, and that's kind of what partially inspired us to start as well. Was we started kind of in the midst of the pandemic back in 2021, and
Mhm.
we
Cool.
we yeah, we saw a lot of youth who were homeless, and they were living in,
Mm.
we saw the homelessness levels in youth go up. um, and we were telling them, you don't have to have everything together. You can, we're not saying you should stay homeless, obviously, but we're saying take it one step at a time. You will see a light at the end of the tunnel eventually, but it's going to take a lot of sacrifice and hard work, and determination, commitment, to get there. And goal setting is really important. Know what you want to achieve, so you're not kind of lost in where you want to go. You're not sort of stuck in a bubble. You know where you want to end up at the end. um, but the yeah, I think that's really what we tell them, and even us as the foundation staff, as the volunteer staff, we tell youth, we're adults, and we still have challenges we're facing in our uh that we might be facing in our personal life, maybe that we don't tell the youth, but it's kind of like, the I guess the main point is really to teach them that we're not all perfect, and we tell them that 'cause a lot of youth want to be perfect because they want to fit in with their friends and they want to be
Mhm.
in high school. I think high school is the biggest trigger to mental health and suicidal thoughts in youth because a lot of them just can't fit in school. And then I even had, for example, my own sibling in my own family. He's been going through that. It's been very heartbreaking seeing him go through that. And I told him, well, we all went through it in high school. We all went through the bullying phase and trying to be cool and fit in and try to be. But then I told them, you're going to find who you really are at the end of the day. And I told them, you know who you are inside, but you just don't feel comfortable executing on it. And that's why when you do find who you are, then you're gonna regret being that cool person before, because we tell the youth you are already cool. Because maybe some people don't maybe share your interests, but you're gonna find someone eventually who will, and then you're gonna be able to, you'll see more happiness, I guess, positivity in your life. So yeah, but yeah, I really, I think the biggest part of the role is really helping youth, because we're political engagement, but sometimes social issues also come into the conversations, and then we try to see how we can support them through their challenges in life as well, and but through good policy advocacy work. And yeah, so yeah, that's what I would say.
That's important to mention. So thank you for that. And mental health is a lifelong journey, isn't it? Right. And I think our youth, especially getting into politics, that's something that we're always self-checking, I guess, and we'll always continue to, and being in the political world as well, be part of your checklist of maintenance, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But I think that's important to validate the conversation, but also validate the questions from youth who may be experiencing, um, that isolation, I guess, so to speak, right?
yeah, yeah. Mental health is a very it's a big priority for us, and I think a lot of organizations in our space, they all want to
Mhm.
um see how we can help and get more into the space, as organizations, especially with, especially since now we're operating, and we have the human talent, the people on the team who bring
Mhm.
all of their strengths to the table. Um, but yeah, I'm definitely very excited to see. I'm very excited about the research work, like when we do the projects and stuff. That's gonna be really fun. Like when we
Yeah.
start our projects and we um, publish the reports, and actually help make good decisions in our government processes. So um, and yeah, so it's a very fun, a lot of fun things we're planning to do here at the TFYIP. So um,
Mm.
we're very excited to see where the next couple of months and even next year brings for us as an organization.
Wow, Javon. Javon, what drew you to civic engagement yourself? When did
Yeah,
you first start noticing, hey, this is an area I'd like to pursue? Yeah.
yeah, it's actually, and my path to civic engagement, and I think the root of what made me want to get engaged was I always had an interest in volunteer work from a young age. I think it was 12 or 13. I think it was the first time I did a volunteer gig, but it was even like just helping in the community gardens at a young age, just helping with digging holes and planting stuff, seeds and stuff. I think, um, and then I used to help in my elementary school office, just helping with answering calls and giving.
Oh, neat. Yeah.
Yeah, like it kind of like sparked from just little opportunities that came up that I was interested in. Um, how I met Victor was we were a part of a now discontinued organization, but it was called the City Youth Council of Toronto. And this organization was originally the mock Toronto City Council that we now took over. So we basically that's how we led. That's what led to our youth council program, was we wanted to create an offshoot, or maybe like we want to allow the youth council to continue and not just end because an organization couldn't financially sustain itself. Um, but now we're very happy that it's there, and it all started from the youth council. My time there as a member, I was a member for I think 6 years. Viktor was there, I think maybe 7 or 8. He was a bit longer. And yeah, and we met each other. We were in our, I remember our first meeting of the council, and I remember Viktor was always someone who stood out from the crowd. He was very unique. And I said, "Oh, this guy is really cool. I think maybe we can." And when he introduced himself, he had a very we aligned well in values and interests, and so we stayed in touch throughout our council time. And then 24 was the age cap the age limit. So once we both got to 24, we had to leave the council because we were of age. And we said, well, we loved what we were doing in this council. So one night, an idea comes to mind. I was talking to a few other youth people that I know in the neighborhood, and we said, like, let's start like an organization or like a charity to continue this work we did in the council and to finish the unfinished business. And then poof, we created an idea, and then we said, I said, like, who else could we bring on? And then Viktor immediately came to mind. I said, oh, I know he would want to do this. He would want to be involved as a founder. And he said, I called him up that night and asked him if he would like to join. And then it was, I think, was it two of us at first? And then slowly more people would join. And then eventually we had all of these like young volunteer uh, staff working with us, like volunteering with us. And yeah, and then ever since then, Viktor and I have been, he built our first website. He helped with getting our like email, like our Google admin console set up for us to create emails for our team. So we have ways of professionally communicating with each other. And we use Slack as well as our workflow team management sort of collab system. And of course we use Microsoft Teams for our team meetings. And Viktor was the one who really got all of the tech. His legacy is really the technology aspect of the organization, putting everything we needed because he was a brilliant he has like I guess he had like a computer programming background. He was very like good with technology, and I knew nothing about this stuff. And he was the one. I said, Viktor, you're leading on this because and this was a chance for me to learn from him,
Mhm.
and we both learned new stuff from each other because we brought so many different things to the table. Like he he's a journalism major, and so he used to bring all of his he was very good with strategic communications and marketing and web development, and he brought all of those talents into our organization. And then I was more of someone who was really good at I was a good community engager. Like I was good at bringing people together, and then he was good at sort of more of the how to promote ourselves well. And then Aline then comes in a few years later, and she was very interested in the marketing, and she wanted to get somewhere where she can apply her skills she learns at university. And then she joins, and she's been with us ever since, doing our and a lot of people see our Instagram and how good it looks, and it's because of Aline and her talents. And she's just a really even Viktor and her are just very down to earth, very exceptional, great human beings, two of both of them. Everyone in our organization is unique and has a different story that they bring to the table about how they got here. And um, but yeah, it started really from just volunteer opportunities that I was able to pick up
Mhm.
here and there. And then I said, how can I get a little more engaged in a more maybe formal, or I guess maybe more specific way, and then joined the council, and then I was there for, like I mentioned, 6 years, and then met Victor, like I mentioned, and then yeah, and then after we had unfinished business from because of being of age and at the council, and then we said let's just start our own thing, and then we can now we won't have a limit on age. We can just do it. We can just continue that work. And yeah, and that's what we've been doing it since 2021. And A lot of people might know that we were youth ourselves. We were, I think, yeah, we were like in our early 20s when we started this, and we were trying to navigate the system at a young age, how to establish ourselves as a nonprofit organization. And yeah, we had to go through the incorporation process on our own. 22-year-olds going through all of these big kind of big step kind of stuff, going to the bank for the first time and making a bank account together. We So Victor was there in all of these changes in our organization. So but he's since had to leave, though he was our one of the founders, and also he was the vice chair of the board, and also our deputy CEO. So he and I would kind of yeah, we wouldn't make a decision unless he had a say in it and I had a say, and we both made it together. So but it was always informed. We're always a collaborative organization. We never felt that, oh, this one has this title, so he's the one that makes decisions, and this one makes this. Like we said, get rid of the bureaucracy. Just enjoy yourself. Be a youth. Be a young person. Just like, of course, we need administrative structures, but we leave that more behind the scenes. We don't really talk about, because youth don't. I said, why would youth care how the board makes decisions? Like, they don't. It's fascinating, but a lot of youth care more about talking about the problems in their in their lives and their communities. And yeah, but it was a long journey to come into civic engagement, and I'm still, I work currently with the city of Toronto in the Parks and Rec department, and I even try to, if I'm at City Hall for something, I try to walk around and just, go up to the second floor by the mayor's reception, just kind of look around and just see what happens here, and stuff like that. And yeah, City Hall, I think, is my favorite, probably my favorite building in Toronto. It's the best you can go and see how, because literally I tell youth what goes on in those council chambers is going to, it like they have the ability to make policy, that like law that can change your life.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
um and I say that law is just a piece of paper, but it's a piece of paper that is, I think, bigger than any of us. Like, it's just something
Mm,
that can
mhm,
transform a whole community. So
mhm.
yeah, so that was I think, my journey. And then, if we do part two, Victor would love to share his story. I know his story, but
Yeah.
I think it'd be good that he
Mhm.
share it. Maybe we can have both Victors. So
Yes, for sure,
because
absolutely. We would
because
love that.
yeah,
Thanks for that. What I'm hearing then that there's something for everyone. If someone is interested in pursuing politics, don't count yourself out. And then I wondered if you could just speak to some of the skill levels. We have a little bit more time with you, maybe 5, 10 minutes.
yeah,
Yeah,
oh yeah.
yeah. I wondered if you could speak to some of the skill levels. You've mentioned what you bring to the table, what Aileen and the team brings to the table, Victor's bring to the table. There's something for everyone, and I think that those skills are very important to recognize and honor, that everybody
Mhm.
has something to offer. Um,
Yeah. And I love how in an organization like ours, you get to see the talent kind of show when they're doing the projects. You can see, like, oh, Aline, she has, like, I think her degrees in communications, I think. So she brings her communications strategic skills to the table.
Shout out to Aileen as well.
Yeah, Aline is amazing. She's a really, really positive individual. She's very, very loves she has, like, a passion for social media and marketing and communications, and her skills is really she's very good at promoting like a brand or an organization like ours, and she's young herself, so she kind of falls in the category of youth because she's under 25. So she she kind of being in the youth cohort herself, she knows kind of like she was telling me like, oh Javon, like, and Victor, let's not write it like this. The youth won't care about, but they want to hear it like this.
Mhm,
Like
mhm,
so she's very blunt and sort of like she's not afraid to say like, okay, I don't know if this is a good idea. Like she,
mhm.
because she knows that we would never put her ideas down or something. We would
Mm,
never do that. We want anything people think can make it better. We say just turn your mic on, no problem. Just you can say it, you can say in the chat if you're a little bit anxious or nervous. And yeah, and then like I mentioned, the first Viktor, Elias, so the co-founder, he, like I mentioned, has a lot of web development, IT, and he created most of our software programs that we use. He was the one that kind of gave us ideas of what to use and to put it into place. Um, the second Viktor, he actually joined us after Viktor Elias because he actually just sits on our board, but
mhm, mhm.
he used to be our deputy CEO. But then when he got new opportunities in his life professionally, he had to withdraw from his role. But he said, I would love to stay on the board and be involved. So
Mhm.
and and I kept telling him like I wouldn't let him go 100%. I said, no, 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 like we excuse me, we have we have something happening here. Like we have something
Oh,
here. We gotta keep this going. Um and I learned a lot of the stuff I didn't know from him. So
mhm,
he's really good in that regard. And the others on the team, are Joseph in communications and our IT team members and the finance side. Everyone brings something to the table, all of their accounting knowledge, of course, and their donor relations and fundraising work, fundraising strategy skills and stuff. But yeah, I just love how like when we do the project, you just see like everyone's knowledge being applied. Like you see like what everyone can bring to the table. And like you
cool.
mentioned, everyone does have something to share and bring to the table, and it's true. We just have to give them that chance and opportunity to show those skills. And um, yeah, but I was always like the convener. I'm very good at bringing. I guess because of people see me as kind of a like I'm approachable and I'm not like someone that's people are not scared to come up and talk to me and stuff like that. They
Mhm.
see I'm very approachable and they said that's why I wanted to join you and talk to you a bit about how I can help and those kind of things. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm going to save a couple of the other questions for another time when we do a part two. But I wanted to wrap up by a couple of more questions, but I'm mainly focusing on the org itself. If someone wanted to get involved with the organization and they had an interest in politics, they're not quite sure where they fit in, um, how could they go about connecting with you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. That's a good question.
Mhm.
Um we always recommend that they email our main general email inbox, which is info, so info at tfyip.org.
Mhm.
And when you email that address, it will connect them to um, sort of our communications sort of officer, and
Mhm.
then they kind of will forward it to the right people. They can always feel free to email also our programming lead, Tracy Lewis, at her email at tracy at tfyp.org. She also would be happy to uh, talk to the youth one-on-one on a call or in person, or she loves doing a little coffee and like, or like just kind of gathering youth where we can. Um, but yeah, I can definitely we could definitely send you some information if you do want to publish it. It's
Mhm. Mhm.
totally fine. Um, But yeah, it would be really good. Those are our two main emails, and you can always fill out our contact us form on our website as well.
Yeah, if someone's kind of on the edge and not quite sure on the fence and,
Mm,
just you send that email and just, do a little touch base and see where that can take you and what have you. Because as we mentioned, there are important issues that are very important to youth. The voice
mm,
is very key in being a change maker or being a part of that process. And it does take a team, it takes a community. There's no I
mm,
in team.
mm.
And I think that's
Yeah.
really important to remember for youth that we're moving forward in this path with other individuals that have amazing skills like yourself.
Mhm.
And everybody's bringing something to the table to offer and make change in our community. Hopefully positive changes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it takes, like I mentioned, it takes a community to build to make something a success, and it's but yeah, we're excited to see where we go in the future, like how where what the future of the TFYP looks like. And yeah, we have a lot of staff who are in university and they volunteer with us on the side.
Oh,
Um, and so it kind of creates some scheduling conflicts for some people. I have assignment to do, I have a paper to send in, I have a class to attend. So we often have to figure out like how to keep everything going, even if certain people are not around. And so it's a lot of yeah, it's definitely a lot of work, a lot of definitely a lot of team meetings and email communication back and forth with things that we have to do as a team. Um, but um, but yeah, it would be great to because we would love to one day have like our own because we have like we want to do like almost like a our own like kind of podcast in the future, kind of like a forum, and we can kind of highlight um pathway we can highlight like youth political leaders, like young
yeah.
people and their pathway to leadership, like hearing their story of how they got to where they are. So similar to kind of like what we touched on in this podcast. And so we want to do like a podcast soon on around that kind of theme in the
It's
future.
cool. We've actually had some U of T political science profs on as well too, and such.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great. And the former Lieutenant Governor David Onley as well, creating change in policy for accessibility and such. But yeah, you just never know where life takes you and conversations take you. I wondered before we wrap up, we have one more thing to ask from you, and maybe we can invite you back
Sure.
with your team members as well. Any words of wisdom for any youth looking to pursue this avenue?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think number one would be network. I always tell people, I always say networking. Networking is number one. And I feel like if you can network, if you can be persistent, you you're not afraid to shoot an email, you're not afraid to reach out to people, even though they might be someone who you might be afraid to email or reach out to, like just send that email. That's what we did at the TFYP. Was we were persistent. We don't, even though people get mad if we're emailing them about something that maybe they don't want to be involved in, we still said thanks for at least responding to us at least.
Great.
So, you know,
Yeah.
so networking is number one. I always tell youth, create a LinkedIn profile. If you're not sure how to do that, we can see maybe if we can do like a workshop on networking, because politics is all about all the youth wings and organizations that are in this space always have, like the Young Politicians of Canada, as a founded by Jane Braves. He he does these networking events, and that's what gets more youth engaged with others that are involved. And then sometimes it builds these new kind of relationships, and then they build like little organizations on the side or little groups. um, so yeah, networking is key. I think if you can find really resourceful people, it can really help you get something off of the ground running, and meeting other people that have the same interests as you can really help you as well. And then number two, I always tell you, initiative is power. If you if you're the one who makes the first move, you can get it way faster than waiting for someone else to come to you. Um, if you because if you network and you know what's out there for you, you can then use your initiative powers and reach out and connect with them and see what can be formed from those relationships. And three is perseverance. Never give up. Keep going. Um, and if you keep going, you will always get to where you want to go. And that's what we feel. Those three things are what we feel can inspire and kind of be a words of wisdom for young people who might want to pursue our path. And yeah, so yeah, good networking skills. Um, Initiative is power, and perseverance, never giving up, and always just keep going even if it fails or you don't know how to do something. Yeah, keep going, and then it all falls back on initiative and networking, which makes the perseverance possible.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What a pleasure to speak with you today. And we have been so fortunate to learn a little bit more about what your organization, but also getting into politics as well. And your words of wisdom are key as well. I love your energy and love that you think of your team. That I really noticed that that stands out. So I wanted to compliment you on that. And I know it's very important moving forward, especially in the political world, to really recognize your team. You know that everyone is working together. So we have been speaking
Absolutely.
Javon Samuel, TFYIP, Toronto Foundation for Youth Involvement in Politics. And we look forward to speaking with him again. You've been listening to Javon on Youth Connections Cafe through Youth for Change. And really do want to do a shout out to Youth for Change for allowing us to be here. It is a pleasure. We are all about connecting, creating, and inspiring our youth. And we look forward to spending more time with you again in the future. So don't forget to follow us on social media. And thank you very, very much, Siobhan.
Thank you, Lynn, and for and your organization and others for this opportunity. We really appreciate the chance to share who we are and what we do for youth political engagement in Toronto.
Thank you very much, everyone. Bye, friends.